morning, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bold TV. Bold standing for beautiful, outstanding ladies with disabilities. We come to you every Saturday by 10:30 a.m., bringing you amazing and riveting conversations on disability and gender. And today is another exciting one. For those who have missed our episode since we began in 2020, you can see those past episodes by following us on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/boldheartsnetwork, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/boldtv_boldhearts. You can catch past episodes and this episode as well. Today, we will focus our conversation on mood disorders and women with disabilities. And to help me have the conversation today, I have my co-hosts. They are all here. And we also have an expert in the house. So by way of introduction, ladies, will come to you really quickly. Just say your name, what you do, type of disability, and where you're based. And then I will come to our guest in the house.
Thank you very much, Frankie. Good morning, ladies. Thank you so much. I think I've missed everybody and it feels good to be here. My name is Oluwatomi Adeyepa, a journalist based in Abeokuta, Ogun State. I'm a visually impaired person, the Executive Director of Popular Abilities Initiative, a gender and disability rights advocate, a disability inclusion facilitator, among other things. Feels really good to be here. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies. I remain Osaki Teresa George. I reside in Port Harcourt, River State, One, polio warrior. I'm a farmer and a freelancer. I'm so glad to be here. I'm also a co-host of Bold TV and a member of Bold Heart Initiative. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Good morning to you, ladies. My name is Oge Passion. I'm a coach, a health and business consultant. I reside in Benue State, Makurdi, Benue State, and I'm an above-knee amputee. Yes, Thank you.
My name is Affion Etum. I am a medical lab scientist who lives and works in Uyo, capital city of Akwa Ibom State. I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. I am a co-host on Bold TV, a member of Bold Hearts Initiative, and I am glad to be here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Florence Marcus. I'm a lawyer. I live and work in Abuja. I'm an amputee, an above-knee amputee, a co-host on Bold TV and a member of the Bold Hearts Initiative. Thank you for having us this morning.
Awesome. And so before we go to our guest, my name is Freki Andrew Essien. I'm the host for this episode of Bold TV, a co-host on Bold TV, the executive director of Fair Care Foundation, public health practitioner, among other things. And it's a pleasure to be able to host this episode, which we're going to be having a conversation around mood disorders and women with disabilities. To help us have the conversation, I'll have our guest quickly introduce herself. So May Bloom, will you please introduce yourself? Go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I am May Bloom. I'm Uri. I'm used to people calling me May Bloom. So I'm Uri Inope. I'm a counselor and a psychotherapist, and also a health educator. So I actually work with special population. When I say special population, generally speaking, I say people who have chronic illnesses, children who have special issues, it might be physical, it might be mental health disabilities, and generally speaking, people who have been sexually abused or survivors of domestic violence. These are my core areas. However, I still provide mental health support to even the general population. I think that's basically it.
Thank you very much. So good to have you on Bold TV. It's been a long time coming, and it's a pleasure to have you on today's episode. All right, let's dive into it quickly. So like I said, today on Bold TV, our topic is mood disorders and women with disabilities. As you know, every conversation that we have on Bold TV must be around issues that affect women with disabilities, as it were. We also like to look at conversation on the perspective of the interaction of gender and disability. And this topic is one of those topics. So women with disabilities do experience a higher rate of mood disorder, including depression and other mental health issues. And potentially it's due to a lot of psychosocial stress and stigma that comes with being female as a woman, and also also as a person with disability, and the interaction that those two things have. Now, these disorders can amplify the existing disability that the woman can have, impacting on different areas of the life of that woman, as we will be looking at it shortly. But most importantly, it does affect overall well-being. So this topic is important because women with disabilities have been researched to found to be at the predisposition of having a higher risk of developing mood disorders compared to other women, and that is women without disabilities. So we have an increased prevalence, and it's good that we talk about it because it's no crime having it. It's going to be important to be able to maintain it or get over it, and also be able to prevent it because we know it exists. So to start the conversation, I would like to ask Uri briefly, so that we lay a good foundation, what are mood disorders? So when we're talking about mood disorders, what are they? And quickly also tell us the difference between mood disorders and mood swings, because I know they're not the same thing. Uri, over to you.
Okay, so generally speaking, mood disorders are mental health issues, mental health illnesses that affect our mood. You know, just the same way you have physical illnesses that affect different parts of our bodies. So with mental health illnesses, it's not really tangible. You can't see, you can't necessarily, in most cases, say, okay, this is the place I feel a pain. Most of the symptoms have to do with your behavior and your mood. So it affects our emotional state. Now, how can you differentiate between a mood disorder and the general or generic mood swings that people have? Because mood swings are normal. They are typical of everyday, everybody, every normal human being's activities or, behavior, lifestyle, and all that. So the difference is that mood disorders last longer, in a sense that when you're having an episode, it usually would last beyond 2 weeks, into 3 weeks, and then into months, and sometimes into years. Then the second thing is that, unlike mood swings, mood disorders will generally incapacitate your ability to be productive. You will not be able to be as productive as you should be or you used to be. And then the third one is that it's going to affect your relationships. It's going to affect your it completely changes your behavior. The way people used to know you before, we call it the pre-morbid state. The way you used to be before you started experiencing the illness will be different. Your behavior will change. It's not going to be the normal you in quotes. You understand? So that's the difference between mood swings and mood behaviors. And when we talk about the length of time, so any mood swing, let's start with mood swing, because we want to assume that, okay, it's a mood swing. Any mood swing that lasts beyond 2 weeks, then you need to start paying close attention to what's happening to you, how you feel, and your behavior. Those are telltale signs that can let you know that this is going beyond the ordinary mood swings.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So we've been able to lay, a simple foundation, as it were, as to what mood disorders are. And one of the primary things that I could get from that, explanation is that duration of time plays a factor in knowing if you're currently just having a temporary mood swing or a prolonged mood disorder that can degenerate into full-blown mental illness. So one must watch. The thing about mood disorders is that they primarily affect the emotional state of the person. They primarily affect the emotional state of the person, and understanding that they are persistent. They can be persistent beyond 2 weeks. Don't begin to watch out. If you can't come out of it, you may want to seek some help. And the reality about it is that mood disorders are treatable. So that's why. So if I say, oh God, I have mood disorder. No, they are treatable. So having defined and differentiated between the mood swings and explain what mood disorders are, I would like to turn the next question over to Afyong to go ahead and ask our expert, and then I'll come back to the ladies with another question. Afyong, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to say welcome again to our guests. And mental health is one area I have a keen interest in because it's not often talked about, but the impact is very obvious. So I'd like to ask you, what are the types of mood disorders we have generally? What are the types of mood disorders we have?
Okay, so there are lots of mood disorders, but generally, for simplicity's sake, they are kind of categorized. So you have depression. Depression, as we usually call it, has a lot of other brothers and sisters. You have the major depression. You have the other ones. You have postpartum depression. This one affects mothers, women who are having babies, and there are other forms of depression. So, but you have depression. So we have depression, and there are different types of depression. You have the chronic depression, which is called dysthymia. You have postpartum depression, which is particularly to women who are in childbearing age, either prior to having their babies or after their babies. And then you have the major depressive disorder, which is the major depression, but the episodes last shorter than the chronic depression. Chronic depression lasts longer, but symptoms are mild. However, in major depressive disorder, the depressive symptoms are much more. They exhibit much more symptoms, but episodes last for few months, and then they recover, and there'll be a break before they experience another breakdown again. Then you have bipolar. Bipolar disorder is a case where this person experiences depressive symptoms at some point, and then the next minute or the next hour or the next day, they are experiencing manic symptoms. Manic symptoms would be like when someone's very excited, they are exuberant, they exhibit exuberant character, they're everywhere, their behavior complete. So in this, it's someone who has bipolar, the behavior is completely different. At one point, they look kind of sad, withdrawn, and then the next point, they're everywhere, they're screaming, they're shouting. And then when they are having manic episodes, they might even be violent to some extent. There might also be hallucinations, that are seeing things that are not there, and delusions, that's having ideas, thoughts that are not realistic, and they'll be expressing them as if it's real, because it's real to them at that point when they're having those episodes. So you also have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is also particular to women. Because of our hormones play a lot of role, a very important role in our emotional health. And so because of that, we also have this premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is an exaggerated experience where women kind of have experienced depressive disorder prior to menstruation, or even during menstruation, and then after the menstruation, or even a few days to menstruation, the episodes or the symptoms they're experiencing will just disappear. So you just see someone when they are, about seeing their period, they are cranky, they get easily irritated, they're anxious, they get withdrawn for no just reason, and they can't even just explain why they feel that way. There are other symptoms. Then you have disruptive dysregulatory disorder. This is basically specific to children. It starts, let's say, from 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And this is a situation where the child exhibits anger that is not proportional to whatever it is that triggers their anger. Children throw tantrums, but with a child who has emotional dysregulation disorder, the tantrum they throw is usually out of place compared to the problem, the thing that is causing the issue. So, you just realize that this child is not able to adjust to emotional things. Their emotional IQ is very low, and they probably most times will not relate well with other children and all that. They're always cranky, moody, and all that. Then you also have other mood disorders that are not, generic to these categories now I've mentioned. You have situations where people develop mood disorders as a result of things that have happened to them. Maybe this person had an accident, and it has led to something else, like maybe being physically incapacitated and all that. And so they now develop depression or any other mood disorder along the line as a result of what has happened to them. There are also cases where people are on medication, and the medication some of the side effects of the medication can be like depression and all that. So while they're on that medication, they always experience these depressive symptoms. So these are some of the situations that can also trigger mood disorders in people. And then you also have people who abuse drugs. People who abuse drugs have a higher chance of going down with mood disorders. So this is about the various and different types of mood disorders.
All right, thank you very much, Maybloom, for telling us these types of mood disorders and generally. And I'm sure, ladies, as you were listening, you heard that just because we have a monthly visitor, you are or we can be predisposed to mood disorder. And the name is very long. What is our own thing? The name is very long, but it was interesting to note that. I think what also got my attention is the fact that one can be predisposed to mood disorders based on being affected by an accident. And as you all know, it's possible to have an acquired disability from an accident. You can also have congenital. So that is also something that you can see as a trigger. So not generally speaking alone, you can see how gender has influenced the fact that a person can have a mood disorder. How being exposed to trauma can expose a person having a mood disorder. So now this question, I want to turn it to the ladies. In my introduction, I did say that it has been proven and researched that women with disability have a higher risk of being predisposed to mood disorders. And I want to ask, what is one thing that you think could be a factor that can contribute to our higher risk of being predisposed to a mood disorder? So the first one I want to ask is, Osaki, why is she smiling? Osaki? That's one thing. What do you think as a factor?
Okay, thank you, Frankie. I just assume you're going to ask me first. Okay, One of the factors I will say is, let me use my own experience myself. I'll say our kind of disability. For an instance, let's say because I'm a polio warrior and I want to move from point A to point B. Let's say I'm at the bus stop and I expected to have a bus or a taxi. Maybe I tried to stop the taxi or bus and they refuse to stop because I'm a little bit of one. Before I will get to the bus, they might be in a hurry, they don't have that patience. Before I will climb the bus or before I will enter the taxi, it take them like 5 whatever minutes. So that delay, or they're not just in the mood for any person with disability. So that automatic my mood will swing. I'll be angry. And if I had to wait a little longer, but I can't stand for that long, or maybe I had to walk a little distance, whenever I get to my destination, my mood will spoil. There's no way I'm going to smile. There's no way I'll be fine. So the kind of disability can be a very good factor for people with disabilities. Thank you.
Okay, so in expressing that, I'll say prolonged. Imagine somebody having to be exposed to that kind of treatment day in, day out. It will cause a lot of psychosocial stress on that person. So already, when you want to step out, you're already like, hey, so as like you are prepared to fight who is going to come. I mean, I know it too. So psychosocial stress that comes as a result of being exposed to a stressor, and that for you is access to easy transportation. Let me ask Florence, what do you think is a factor that contributes to the higher risk of women with disabilities having mood disorder?
Okay, I think I will throw the part that Osaki just took now, like talking from a personal experience. And also, I think it will also corroborate what our expert has said about even our condition, our disability, exacerbating these mood swings and also depression. For me as an amputee, and all amputees experience what they call phantom pain. And this thing has a way of dealing with your mind. First of all, you are having a physical pain, and it could be a physical pain or a phantom pain. Don't just imagine that your leg is gone, but you are still feeling the leg, you're still feeling the toes, you are still feeling, and that feeling is coming with either itching, with either like pricks from pins and needles. So that has a way of affecting me and even others from the way you even relate with others. Like if you are in serious pain, it affects the way you do things. So that's, for me, that's one of the reasons or of the factors that contribute to depression. And this can go on as long as that pain continues. And sometimes even after the pain is subsiding, it takes time to heal your mind from the impact of that experience. Thank you.
Wow. Phantom pain that knows no end. I can't even picture it. My leg is paining me, but the leg is not there. What a disaster. Like, oh my goodness. Frustrating. That one is enough to just make somebody go gaga. Like, what is this? Oh my God. It's interesting, yeah? So let me quickly turn this. But I wanted us to really share from experience, so that, and I know that people that are watching can really relate that there are some things that really can trigger a mood disorder. Okay, I saw you nodding. Would you want to add to the factor that can contribute to a higher risk?
Oh, yes. These things are personal experiences. When Florence was talking, I felt her because I'm also an amputee, an above knee amputee. I had an accident. That was how I got it. And of course, I experienced phantom pain. Life changes and losses. As an amputee, you are alive, but one part of you is under the ground. So it's not easy. You imagine a lot of things before, after, now. What will be the future? So these life changes and losses are in different perspectives. She talked about phantom pain. From another perspective, if you look at, let's say, relationships or how the society perceives you, you see that you have another thing again to cross. You understand? Apart from the fact that you have your personal pain, like that phantom pain, you still have to relate with society, be in relationships. And, it affects women more than men, in the sense that it's easier for a man with disability, to be in a relationship or to start a relationship, even with the disability. You understand, compared to a woman, because lots of women that are well able are not even seeing themselves in relationship or are in broken relationships already. Not to talk of women with a disability that everybody is seeing it, that is obvious. You understand? So, in fact, sometimes they will even be asking the man, the spouse or the husband to be, what did you see in this woman? Is it that you don't have eyes? You understand? So these things are things that we see. Sometimes women have to even lose relationships because they had an accident and then they had a disability. You understand? Sometimes it's difficult again to start up a relationship. It takes years to start up a relationship. Sometimes you begin to even ask yourself, will I ever settle in a home? You understand? Will I ever be able to raise a child? Will I ever be able to do one thing or the other? You understand? Just like every other person. So these disorders come. Sometimes you don't even know you are already moody. You understand? It is when people begin to speak that you now know, oh, you understand? You now feel it. So it's not easy at all. But of course, there is always a way to manage this thing. And for forums like this, it gives us an opportunity to learn and also educate the public better. So that's from my own perspective. Thank you.
Wow, the stigma that comes from both gender and disability related issues can negatively impact. And yes, it is true that for women with disabilities is a double barrel weapon. Should I put it like that? I won't elaborate any further. She has talked about it, issues in relationships, issues with dealing with others in society. That stigma can affect and cause and amplify existing mood disorders if they were there. In fact, sometimes you don't even know. Like you said, it's when they start the conversation, you now know that, man, it's like this thing is deep inside, somewhere. So just to wrap this up, I want Afyong to weigh in and then we'll go to another question. What do you think is a factor that contributes to the higher risk of women with disabilities being predisposed to mood disorders? Afyong, go ahead.
Yes. Grace mentioned stigma. The stigma cuts across a whole lot. In fact, disability in itself is a stigma that's something that society holds over your head, because of disability automatically makes you what they say persona non grata. Nobody regards you as somebody who has value, and so that alone, it makes you question yourself. It makes you question your worth. Am I even worthy to be part of the environment I find myself in? So if you had imposter syndrome before disability, it now entrenches it, and it becomes worse. You're like, okay, when I had 2 legs, I was not even so wonderful. Now that the 1 leg, we have 1.5, or we have 1 broken part, or one thing or the other, that means my own has finished. So stigma is a very serious cause. So, and I think what increases the risk is lack of support systems. Many persons with disabilities, especially women, do not have the right support systems. And so this increases their risk of mental health, because more often than not, you don't have people you can go to share, what's going on inside your head. Someone that can understand, someone that will be there to tell you, it's okay, you're not crazy, it's okay. But, this is how you can go about it. So that lack of support systems worsens, puts women at higher risk of mental disorders.
Awesome. So Afyong has elaborated more on stigma and talked about how it can indeed affect or predispose women to a higher risk of having mood disorders. And she went ahead to talk about lack of support systems as something that is a factor, a real thing in the lives of a lot of women with disabilities. Then to add to these factors, I would say that one of the things I've seen that can also put women with disabilities at a higher risk is when you have the issue of disability playing a major role, and then you now have what we call another health condition that comes in. So a comorbidity is like, what kind of wickedness is this? I am already dealing with disability. Do I need to have fibroid? I'm already dealing with disability. Must I now come and carry breast cancer? What is this? And this is, this is the reality that we live with. So comorbidities, I don't even know whether it's mood disorder to cause. It is the big brother of mood disorder that one can cause. So when you have disability existing along with a chronic health condition, it can further put women at a higher risk, especially when that comorbidity or that chronic health condition is tied to being a woman, which we know is there plenty and has nothing to do, it's not a respect of disability, So these are some of the things that can really put women at a higher risk of mood disorders. And you see how time is not our friend, because while the gist is sweet, the time has gone. So in order to be able to wrap this up better, I just want to mention that there is help. Not everything is bleak. We are not going to leave you letting you know what mood disorders are, telling you the types of mood disorders, tell you the factors that contribute to women being at a higher risk of having mood disorders. We would begin to wind this down by speaking to how you can prevent, also treat if it is already occurring. Let's do that. So I'll turn the conversation to May Bloom. What are some of the things that we can do to prevent or treat mood disorders as women, especially as women with disabilities? Uri, go ahead.
Okay. So in order for us to talk about prevention now, we are talking about prevention now, not treatment. I'll start with prevention.
Yes, prevention.
Prevention is, like when it comes to mental health issues, there's no hard and fast rule about it. One of the first things you can look out for is you look at your genetic factors, your environment, your family line, from your paternal and your maternal side. Is there anyone who has experienced any of this, or is there anyone who has behaved in a way that maybe you didn't really understand it that time you were children, or you have this relative that's kind of isolated or something, and maybe you didn't really know what's happening with the person? If you notice that there's something about, this thing that's hanging around in the family line, it's a sign to know that you as an individual are vulnerable. When you know that you're vulnerable, then you now start noting that, okay, I need to put stop gaps in place to make sure that I don't, expose myself, or I'm able to booster myself, because genetics has already made you vulnerable. Then you have biological factors. Now, when it comes to biological factors, there's really no hard and fast rule again. Like I said, we are all different. We think differently. So our brain also functions differently. But however, if you notice that as an individual, you tend to be more withdrawn, you tend to be more, isolated, you prefer your privacy, those kind of things. You now need to know that, okay, I might be predisposed to this kind of thing. So you begin to watch it. You now begin to watch it. So then another thing you can do, in all these things that we have discussed now, we talked about environment a lot. The truth is that we cannot control a lot of things that happen to us. However, when we have the proper social support, it kind of reduces the impact that this thing might have on us. So one thing with mental health illness is that when the environmental support, the environment is conducive, even if you're biologically vulnerable, you're genetically vulnerable, and you even have a triggering event, which is now the disability, and any other thing, when you have a supportive network that forms kind of a safety net around you, it reduces the intensity. If eventually this person might even have episodes, it most likely will reduce intensity, and even in some cases, they might not even really have, this illness because of the strong support that they have around them. So it's one thing to know that I'm vulnerable. It's another thing to, go all out when you're still in that condition where you have insights, you understand yourself, you know what's happening around you, you have the ability to manage your emotions, to go out to identify a social network where the people where you can get support from when you're down. Simple things like people who can check up on you. Simple things like, people who can call you, people who you can also talk to when you're down. These are simple little things. You might take it for granted, but it goes a long way, because by the time you start talking about one thing, it might lead to another, and then before you know, it helps you to relieve some of the tension and begins to change the way your brain now perceives the situation. And it's called, like, we call it CBT, that's cognitive behavioral therapy. So like once you now start restructuring the way the brain is thinking, start redirecting the thoughts, before you know, this person makes you laugh and you talk about, and it helps to ease the tension, reduces those negative emotions and all that. So this is one of the things we can do. And then treatments, like you said, treatment is there. If you've tried everything and you find out that, I think, in fact, having a very good social network is important, because when you have a very good social network, most of the time you might not even know that you even need treatment, but your social network will tell you, see, my dear, I think you need to see a doctor. I think you need to see a therapist. You might be defending yourself. You might be trying to put up to look strong and all that, but they'll know that, okay, it's time. And then if you trust your social network, you trust their suggestion, and then you go for external help, which is medication. There are medications, there are different medications. You have antidepressants, you have mood stabilizers, you have antipsychotics for people who have manic cases. So there are drugs, and then you adhere to your drugs, you'll be all right, you'll be fine. You also have psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is, you can do, depending on how the symptoms and how the illness progresses. For some people, they might not even need medications. Psychotherapy will be okay for them. While for some people, they might also need medication in collaboration with psychotherapy. But psychotherapy is a constant. Whether you're doing medications or not, psychotherapy remains a constant, because even if you're taking drugs, you need to develop skills that can help you to manage yourself, to manage your emotions, and to be able to beat it. Drugs will not do that for you. In fact, if you don't even do psychotherapy and you're on drugs, you end up not taking your drugs. You will not. So people who don't even do psychotherapy still have challenges with even continuing with their treatment. And then in the extreme cases, you have electroconvulsive therapy. These are extreme cases with people who have serious bad cases of depression and all that. So we have a lot of treatment in Nigeria. We should not take it for granted. I know there's a lot of stigma around seeking help for mental health issues. However, it's very important. The earlier you seek help, that's the challenge we have. Most people wait till when the illness had advanced before coming to seek help. But if you come early, when you notice, there's this incoordination in your thoughts, your actions, your behavior is changing, people are complaining. When you start early, you might just do only psychotherapy, you might not even need medication, But when you let it go for a long time, the illness has taken a toll on the mental state. You now need longer treatment and all that. But there is hope.
Awesome. You can prevent and you can treat. Amazing to hear. And she said so many things, and a lot of it builds on your social capital. You see that seclusion? Please, I don't want trouble. Let me just be by myself. I don't want, leave it. I think that's a lie from the pit of hell. Me, I used to get that lie sometimes. So I'll just be there. I'll just be like, please, let me just be by myself. I don't need anybody saying, please. And I'll just be like, listen, that I'm hearing inside my life. I better go outside and give people my share. So don't sit down and lose. Don't seclude yourself, And then the support system is one thing you can find. If you don't know where to go, Bold Hearts Initiative runs on the structure of a support network. That's the basic structure of Bold Hearts Initiative, where you can reach out to anybody and say, I am feeling well, and I'm feeling wrong, and I'm feeling this. And because you're dealing with people that are, going through some of the same experiences that you may be going through, it's easier to be able to speak to them. I mean, see Florence and Oge nodding about phantom pain. It concerns me with phantom pain. So my own pain is different, if you understand. So you're able to engage with one another on, conversations, or is it relationship? Now today, when we used to leave Bold TV, when we finish ending, when I enter relationship, because you have people that understand what you're saying, and things like that. So a support system is crucial. I like the part where she talked about the fact that early, seeking for help early. We like leaving things for too long. And then we say, this is how they behave in my family. It's not an excuse. Let us seek for help early. Psychotherapy, talk about it with an expert so they can develop coping mechanisms. And if you do need medication, getting it from the right source, don't go and self-medicate, because it can lead to addiction, a whole different conversation. The impact of mood disorders is real. It reduces your social participation. It can impair your function. It can even increase the risk of suicide. People are killing themselves. It can increase them. So do not think that these are not things that we experience. To wrap up this session, I'm going to go through all the ladies with disabilities one by one, and then the last word from my expert. And you just tell us how a woman out there can prevent or manage her mood better, so that she is not having the impact of mood disorders on her life as a woman with disability. So I'll start with Oge. Please keep it brief. This is our wrap up for your last comments. Go ahead, Oge.
Okay. One way you can manage mood disorder or mood swings is being with in a relationship with like-minded individuals, whether they are females or they are males, but just ensure that you're in a relationship and see yourself like every other human. Of course, nothing happens to you. You are alive. That's enough. So just ensure you're in the right place where you are cherished, you are loved. If you are in an environment where you are not cherished, please leave that environment is not for you. Find where you belong. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Awesome. So I know that when someone's in a relationship, they'll be like, let me go and type, please, I need to be in a relationship. That's not what she's talking about. Relationships can be platonic. That's not what I'm saying. Can be the same. Frankie, you say we should go look for boyfriend. It's not what we said. Please. She's like, okay, I see how they're understanding what I'm saying now. We're in a relationship. No. She's meaning be equally yoked. In other words, have people that are like-minded. If you're a high-functioning person, find people that are high-functioning so they don't reduce your tempo. Find people in your space. Have people of like-minded passion in your space. All right, Osaki, your own words.
All right, thank you very much. One factor I would say is the spiritual guidance. If you have what we call the Bible, you read it, it helps to really guide your mind. And also affirmation, the positive things you tell yourself, those things that will automatically change your mood, that gives you this light from the inside to the outside. Thank you.
Awesome. So spiritual incline is an awesome way. In fact, somebody said anything that is happening physically, emotionally, you can actually handle them spiritually so that they, how they begin to project or manifest outwardly. So find your spiritual path. If it's meditation, she has talked about the word of God for her. Find it. It helps. People like us, we know that we're inclined to music, so it helps our mood so much. Can't even shout. So much. If you want to change my mood, play the right music and you have me. All right, Florence, go ahead. Share something.
Okay, don't be so hard on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Take good care of yourself, especially your mental well-being. It is very important, and even your physical well-being, because it will go a long way in determining what happened in what happened in your mind and also your emotions.
Awesome. The power of self-care. Take care of yourself. Oh, hey, don't be a workaholic. I can tell you stories. It will not pay you well. Your body will just not respond anymore. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mind. Take care of your all-round wellness. Prioritize yourself. Oge said you're alive. It's even more than enough. So you're alive. Oh. People are not here and they can't do much. Afia, what do you have to say?
Okay. Or should I say they have said everything? No, my brain has plenty.
They have not said everything.
So,
I cannot.
I will just say this. First and foremost, you can't deal with an enemy you have not identified. If you don't know the enemy, you cannot deal with it. Many of us, when it comes to emotional issues, tend to just gloss over it. That's why we have a lot of mental health issues. People are not self-aware. We tend to act like, if you ask the typical woman, 9 out of 10 will tell you, I'm fine, I'm okay. Have you ever met a woman who says she's not fine? It was only a 2-year-old I saw, and I asked her, how are you? I'm not fine. That's the kind of honesty we should have. Say it as you feel it. Somebody out there might be in a position to help you. You're not okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with not being okay. But we have been raised to, raised to act like, oh, if you admit to weakness, if you admit to not being okay, there's something wrong. How can you? What is it? Only you waka come. No. Yes, now only me waka come. The way it's doing me, I don't know if it's doing anybody else. So I will say it. So please, identify, be aware of what's going on in there. Think about what you're thinking about, because that's where it starts. The battle is in your mind. It's not the cost of Gary, it's not the cost of transportation. It starts in your head. How are you seeing that situation? How you see it now determines how you react to it. So ask yourself, why is this thing affecting me so much? Why am I, reacting to it like this? If you can identify that, accept it, and then okay, is there a different way we can handle this so that I can have peace? Because your peace of mind is important. If you cannot, because many times there won't be anybody, it's just you and yourself. So you have to be able to come to a place where you can manage your emotions, because that's the key. You manage your emotions and you tell yourself, okay, things are not okay, but what can we do? So it's something we have to learn. And maybe on Bold TV, we'll bring someone who can teach us about that. My emotion regulation, how to regulate your emotions and manage them, so that it can help you move on and not be influenced by everything that happens outside of you. Thank you.
Awesome. So after I talked about self-awareness, at the end of the day, help cannot come to you if you do not even know you need help. So I'll allow our special guests to say something, especially about getting professional help. We've talked about getting support groups and all of that. So the CEO of May Bloom, counseling and psychotherapy expert, Mrs. Uri, has facilities that can help you seek professional help. I'll let her talk about it for 2 seconds. Go ahead, Uri.
Okay, so thank you, Frankie. So basically, I'm a therapist. So I provide psychotherapy for people who are struggling with emotional issues. And yeah, I don't provide medical support. So if there's need for medication, I'll refer you to appropriate facilities where you can get medical support. And for psychotherapy, yeah, you can hit me up on my numbers. I don't know. I'll probably drop it. Frankie, maybe I'll drop them with you, in contact with you.
No
Yeah, so you can
No problem. Awesome. So please, if you are in need of professional psychotherapy, counseling, where you can actually speak to someone, you would use the numbers showing on your screen. Tell the person when you get there, you can say, I am bold, and you will get a rebate. If I can be free, I didn't say so. I'm just saying it may be free. So go there and have that engagement. Do not be silent. Now, somebody is wondering what triggered this conversation about mood disorders. In the course of the week, I had somebody reach out about a girl who is hearing impaired and how she has begun to manifest in a violent way because of prolonged mood disorders over the years. She has become physically dysfunctional in that little things trigger her now. She has broken all the television in the house too many times, and the parents don't know what to do with her. Why? Because it started as a small mood disorder. And now she's at the point where she's almost very violent and is rejecting every form of help that comes our way. So do not wait. You can talk to someone professionally, you can engage in a support group. Don't wait till it becomes too bad. All right. So this has been the episode of Bold TV, Mood Disorders and Women with Disabilities. In the course of the conversation, we've been able to define what mood disorders are. We briefly hinted on what types are. We talked about how women with disabilities have a higher risk of predisposition to mood disorders. And the lady shared from their experiences. And we talked about how you can prevent as well as treat. We hope that the resources that we brought to you in this episode would help you to be a better person to deal with, converse with, and engage with, because your mood is improved. Remember to check our Facebook page, our YouTube channel to see this episode and past episodes. And if you want to support, all the beautiful co-hosts are here for you to reach out to. Really appreciate you, Uri, aka May Bloom, aka our Madam of Psychotherapy, for being on this episode of Bold TV. Again, the numbers are showing on the screen. Reach out. She's also on WhatsApp. She's on Facebook. And you can get that professional psychotherapy help and counseling that you may need. For us here in Bold Hearts, we're here for you as sisters, as a support group network. You are not alone. So until we come your way, same time, or that says same station or same platform, wherever you're watching us from. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day and week. Ladies, unmute yourself and say over. Arrivederci. Goodbye. Catch you for.
Oh, bye.
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 Yeah.
This is Bold TV.